Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hey, welcome back. It is your friend Cesar Espino with www.cesarrespino.com. And today I have a very special guest. It is my good friend, Carmen Ventrucci Peterson. And I want to give you more information about her. So let me just read this to you, okay? So Carmen Ventrucci is a self-described badass mom to 4 children and 2 of her nieces. She's a master at using mindset and action to help others find personal and financial success. She believes that we all have the power to take action to design our own lives. She recently left her corporate job to start her own company, True Sisu Life. Carmen is a taekwondo provisional belt and will earn her black belt in 2020. Wow. She lives in Minnesota with her family. So, Carmen, welcome to this show. I'm so glad to have you here. You know, just reading that, I mean, I want to hear more about that, and maybe you can tell us more about what you have going on. But let me have you introduce yourself again. I mean, I already did that, but hey.
Thank you, Cesar. I am super excited to be here. Cesar and I are dear friends. So when he asked me to be on his show, of course I said, yes, do you want to do it tomorrow? So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for that introduction. As Cesar said, yes, I am that badass mom. I have 6 kids that I am responsible for. 4 of them are mine and my husband's. 2 are nieces that live with us, and they've lived with us for about 2 years, which makes for some interesting adventures sometimes. But Cesar, you said one thing, which is what I'm all about. I am a believer that we all have the power to take action to design the lives we want to live. So no matter who we are, we probably are dealing with something in our life that we want to change. It could be, a belief given to us by society, by media, our family, our work, whatever. We probably have something we want to change. I am all about giving people the tools they need so they can go make those changes. So as you mentioned, for me, one of the things I really wanted to do is I had that successful job in the corporate world. And for some time, it was extremely fulfilling and I loved it. Slowly over time, it became less and less fulfilling. And I realized that what I really wanted to do was go into business for myself and become an entrepreneur. And so I am proud dropped out of my corporate job was June 4th of 2019.
Wow.
And I figured out how to do it 7 months ahead of my original schedule. My original schedule was December 31st, the end of the year, last year, 2019. I did it 4 months ahead of schedule.
Wow, that's awesome. And for those of you that don't know, and we're not talking about just like any regular job. I mean, you had a pretty good role in your job. I mean, you were
I did.
sort of like engineering or continuous improvement or something like that, right?
Yes, I was a Lean Six Sigma black belt for my company. So I did a lot of continuous improvement, a lot of data. I love numbers. A lot of coaching people, actually. That's what I really loved about my job. I would
Yeah.
coach other people on their projects or their initiatives and help them achieve their greatest in their
Right.
role.
Yeah, so a lot of process and procedures. I mean, process maps and all that great stuff. So I mean, again, you had a really good job, and being able to, step away from that into what I consider to be the uncomfort zone, right? I mean, I very similar to you. I had a corporate job that it took me myself, I think, about 7 months to really say, you know what, this is not for me. I need to move away and just do my own stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
when you have something as that, that's very promising, and you have all these great benefits or whatnot, it's hard to leave that. And I think a lot of people are being faced with that. Yet you also brought up a good point, is that you have the different, obstacles, or you have all these different influences that might be guiding your decision as you move forward, yet you have to take control of that. And that's what you do. That's what you help people do, is you help them take control of their situation, understand what might be some of the great benefits by doing certain things in a different way, and just teaching them that, right? So like that's amazing that you ended up taking that route from that perspective, right? So that's pretty awesome with that. So tell me more about your programming. Like, you obviously came out of the corporate world, and at the end of the day, I mean, like, I guess my biggest thing, in which many people are going to be asking, is like, how did you manage to do that? I mean, with 4 kids of your own and 2 nieces, being a mom, doing all these different things, having a nice, I'm like, how did that all happen in your head?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I don't know if I can explain exactly what was going on in my head at the time. So let me answer a couple of ways.
Yeah.
So it all starts with mindset.
Okay.
And so one of my taglines in my business is mindset, action, passion. It all starts with mindset. As soon as I started working on my mindset and changing my mindset and realizing that, these beliefs I had that, the only way to make money is to have a job. That's how I was raised, and it's no fault of my family or anybody raising me. It's just what they taught me to do. Get a good job, support your family.
Right.
And I realized that, there's other ways to make money. I also realized, and this is something I tell people all the time, you can always make more money. You can never get your time back.
Yep.
And as soon as I realized that, I decided, why waste any more time here? Let's just go out and get what I want. And so that was just a huge turning point in my thinking when I started working on my mindset and developing that mindset of a very successful person, of a millionaire, of somebody who is constantly developing themselves. That just totally changed the game for me.
Got it.
So, and then I also, one thing I also talk about is, I talk to people, especially parents, right? You're a parent too. We're pulled in so many different directions under the guise of, we're doing it for our children, right? I learned to say no to things that no longer serve me or no longer aligned with who I am.
Got it.
So let me give you an example. I've been a hockey player since like I was 14 years old. I'm a goalie, right? It's kind of a specialized subset of hockey, and I love it. I truly love it. I decided not to play hockey this year. And my husband was like, "Are you sure?" Like, he was having like a, it's like, "Do I need to have an intervention with you? You're not playing hockey. Who are you?" And here's why. In my schedule this year, it was one more thing I had to fit in, and I wasn't getting as much joy out of it now than I have in the past. So I decided to sit this year out. It was that simple. And I'm really glad I did. I have more time to watch my kids play hockey. I can go take them to the park and we can go skating. So I get the experience that way. And I can go back next year if I choose to. Like, my teammates understood. They get it. They're awesome. I miss my time with them. It's just that it didn't serve me as well this year as other things I'm working on. So I said no to hockey this year.
Got it.
So, and as parents, like I said, we're pulled in so many different directions. Like, I say no to my kids all the time.
Yeah.
They have shiny object syndrome. And so they hear about some events or they see something and they just want to go, can we go to that? Can we go to that? And usually my response is no. Now, if they ask again, I know that they really want to go, and then I'll consider working it into the schedule and making it happen if it's something that I agree with. But a lot of times they just ask to ask. Adults are the same way.
Yeah.
Like coworkers, think about when you worked in a corporate job, and people ask for things all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to say no.
Yeah.
And if they ask for it again, maybe it's really important to them. Then maybe you need to consider it.
Right. So now you talk about the mindset, and I think that's definitely even in my own journey, right? I believe that that's probably the foundation of many different things. I tell people that the most powerful thing that you have is the thing that's between your 2 ears, which is your mind, right? And so what are some of the things that you specifically had to change? I mean, obviously, change your thinking is definitely one way, right? And you mentioned that. Yet specifically, what were some of the tasks that you had to do to start, getting yourself into the right mindset?
Oh, okay. So one of my biggest lessons in mindset journey, and I know you've heard this before, is it is okay to want more. So any achievements you are going to accomplish will start with a desire to want more. And now, when I first heard this, I was just like, oh, hell no. I'm not like that. I don't want more. That means I'm materialistic.
Yep.
right? That was the
Yep.
first thing that entered my mind. And I found as I reflect on life, the more I'll use violent for lack of a better word, the more violent my reaction to an idea, the more right it actually is. And so, and then I thought about it a little bit more. I'm like, you know what? Wanting more doesn't mean I want more things necessarily. It doesn't mean I'm greedy or materialistic. It means I want to better myself. It means I want to make more of a difference for the people I love in the world and for humanity in general.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my biggest mindset shift. And when I found myself wanting more, I mean, if you don't want more, you're settling. You are settling if you don't want more. If you don't want more in your relationship, if you don't want, more in your job, if more in your business, more from your spouse, you're settling.
Right.
More from yourself, you are settling.
Yeah.
And so that was the biggest mindset shift. So it became a trigger for me to start thinking about if I was or was not settling. So if I found myself wanting more of whatever, more satisfaction in my job, for example,
Right.
my job,
Yeah.
that was like, okay, then something's not right.
Yeah.
If I want more, then something's not right. So I learned to listen to myself and my inner monologue. And when I wanted more, I would allow myself to dive deeper and say, okay, what is not right? What do I want to change, or what do I need to improve?
Right. Yeah. And I think when you start settling, you start dying, not maybe not physically, definitely not. Yeah. You start dying in the inside of you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no
Right.
real true purpose of, what's to come next. Right. And I think, you and I share a lot of very similar stuff when it comes down to living corporate and becoming a full-time entrepreneur. And I think part of, at least for me, it was that one of those things that although it was a good job and I enjoyed it and I had a really good time in that company and it was a really good company, I felt like there was more for me. And if I would have just settled for that, my purpose in as my highest intention would have been dead, at that particular point. And so
Exactly.
I do believe that, right, that if you settle down, then you're accepting the fact that you're just gonna be living day by day. For the most part, most people are going to be just living day by day and really dying inside out, right? And so, I mean, I'm not saying is you don't have to leave your job, by the way. A lot of people, there's a lot of great jobs that people enjoy them, and if that is what is truly success for you, by all means continue to do that. However, you got to make sure that you're still growing within that job, whatever that might be, right? And that's
Exactly.
one thing that you talked about too. Yeah. So
yeah, I agree 100%. If your purpose is to climb that corporate ladder and
right.
find that perfect job, awesome.
Right.
We can help you do it. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah,
you know what you want and you're going after and you're getting it.
Right, and exactly, and so with your brand and your company, True Sisu Life, you can also help people that if they don't want to drop out of corporate, you can still help them through that journey based on, again, what you talked about, whether it's building procedures, changing the mindset, doing all these different things, right?
Absolutely. The goal of my company, True Sisu Life, is to help people design the lives they want to live.
Right.
And it's going to be different for everybody. Everybody will have a different goal.
Yep.
I can help you get there. So it's just amazing, and it's so fun to hear about the different goals that different people have.
Yeah, right. Now, what does for the people that know this, do not know this, what does a True Sisu mean? What is the meaning behind that?
Oh, yeah. So Sisu, SISU, is actually a Finnish term. So we are Finnish on my mom's side of the family. Okay. And there's really no direct translation into English. It's just one of those words we grew up knowing. And essentially what it means is it's someone who has grit, determination, and tenacity, no matter the obstacle, no matter the odds. So Sisu is definitely a spirit of overcoming whatever life has in store for you.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then, so going back to you leaving your job, because I think that's just amazing, right? Being able to do that, like how was it for you the first couple of weeks or months that you were out of a job? Like, how was that lifestyle, for you personally? Were you going through a lot of struggles? Like what was that like? That because many people might be thinking of doing something like that. Yet again, is that fear of the unknown, the fear of being able to jump and being able to do something like that. And a lot of times, I know people would rather not do it because they're just, again, they don't know what to expect. And I know for me, things didn't go the way I expected, yet I continued to move forward, right? So I did have a very rough, start, I guess.
Right. Oh, so this is a really funny story. So 2 days after I left my job, I came out of my room and I walk into the kitchen and I find my youngest, who was 2 at the time. She found a Sharpie and had proceeded to scribble all over the kitchen cabinets, which are white. And we remodeled our kitchen a year ago, so they're only a year old, and all over herself. So here's my daughter, Sharpie, she's got like a Sharpie sleeve of tattoos on her, right? And she's 2 years old, and they're all, there's Sharpie all over the kitchen cabinets. And I see it, and I'm kind of a tough broad, right? Yeah. I literally crumble into a ball on the floor and just start crying. And it was just a culmination of the fear of leaving my job. Did I make the right decision? Did I make the wrong decision? Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? It was like a culmination of about half a dozen different emotions, and frustration. My kid just drew on my cabinets, into one. And I literally crumbled into a ball on the floor. And I cried for like 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, well, something's got to take the Sharpie off the cabinet. So I quick get on Google, and my other moms that I know, I pulled them, and guess what? Dry erase marker takes Sharpie off cabinets. That's what I found. You just color over it with a dry erase marker and then take a cloth and rub it out. Good as new. And I'm not telling you that to give you a useful household tip. I'm telling you that because this is what happened for me. I realized, like, okay, I had an issue. I figured it out. You know what? I'm going to figure this out too. I just needed that little like microscopic piece of proof that I can figure out whatever is being dealt to me. And I was fine after that. So I had to like break down and literally like be on the floor crying in a ball for a few minutes. And then I moved on. And it was just getting all those emotions out really helped. Now, the other thing I encountered is that I was used to some sort of taskmaster of some sort, right? So even if you have a lot of independence in your job, somebody is directing you somehow.
Right.
And that's one thing I struggled with a little bit at first, is I was the only one directing me. And so I found a couple days where maybe I was not as productive as I should have been, and I got a little bit behind on a few things. Well, I had to learn that lesson 1 or 2 times, and then I fixed it. But that's another common thing I see with new entrepreneurs, is that they are completely accountable for their own schedule, and they might take a day, a week or 2 to figure that out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2 things just came to mind. Number one, the fact that you went through that experience, and you can use that in many different ways. And the metaphor of that is that sometimes we tend to make things harder than they are. And all we need to do is just take a little bit of time to either, our mentor, Marshall Silver, would say, gather the available data, not all the data, just the available data, and then be able to figure out how you can figure that out, right? And that's what you did. And a lot of times we go through all that. I mean, again, there's a lot of people, entrepreneurs and business people alike, that, sometimes they see a challenge and they just don't tend to find that solution because they feel like this is not solvable, right? And again, I think this is kind of going back to what you mentioned, is that mindset, right? Right. Which is pretty awesome. The second thing you kind of talked about right now is the fact that you are able to going through this journey and going through this thing and understand that you're running your own schedule, right? It's I think that's very critical for any entrepreneur, to make sure that at the end of the day you have some sort of accountability to yourself, to make sure that you take the best out of that time. So you and I both were doing something together. We're accountable for this 75 hard. And again, this is a very good way to kind of talk about this, which is what you just mentioned right now, is that if you're falling behind, you got to be able to sharpen up yourself and get back on your feet. We were doing the 75 hard phase 1 challenge together, holding each other accountable, yet you're under 0 degrees in your town. I'm up under whatever 50 degrees, and I'm here complaining.
You're warm, dude.
I know, right? And I'm here complaining, but yet we're taking a cold shower. We're doing this stuff. It's all about that accountability, and say, you know what, at the end of the day, you have to be truthful to yourself, right? And so it goes back to that. I mean, a lot of people forget that aspect because it's so critical, So yeah. So anyways, that's pretty awesome. Now, let me ask something. I know you don't just do the True Sisu Life, right? I mean, that's your primary thing. You're also a real estate investor, because you're invested in properties. You're in real estate. So tell me a little bit about that.
So I started, oh my gosh, when was this? 2003 is when I bought my first property. So I've been investing in real estate since 2003. I weathered the crash pretty well.
Mm.
Fortunately, I only had one or two properties at the time, and I was able to hold on to them long enough where they did just fine.
I'm,
And
I'm
so
lucky. I'm lucky that worked for you because I lost all
it
my
worked for me.
properties.
I
Yeah.
know. We were lucky.
Yeah.
So I love real estate investing because it's just like, okay, to quote Trump, it's the art of the deal.
Yeah.
I love negotiation. It
Yeah.
is so much fun. And so that's how I learned, I learned so much about people that way,
Right.
trying to figure out what's truly important to this person, what is not as important to this person, what's important to me, what can I compromise on and what can I not compromise on. And
Right.
so that's why I love real estate. And plus, it's just a solid finance. I mean, it's a great way to make money and set up your family for success financially.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And then besides that, you're also an author. So you
I
wrote a
am an
book.
author.
I mean, so it's like,
Yes.
so tell me about that experience.
Oh my gosh. So I was invited to be an author. Yes, Caesar is flashing the book right
Right
now.
here.
In a book called Dare to Be Authentic, Volume 5, Let Yourself Prosper. So what this book is, it is about five, I think 10 authors in total
Mm-hmm.
who each contributed a chapter on how authenticity has basically changed their life.
Yep.
And it was one of those things, earlier in our conversation, I mentioned I say no to a lot of things. I also say yes to a lot of things. And I find that the things I say yes to might scare me at first.
Mm-hmm.
And if it scares me, it's probably worth it. So when I was invited to be an author in this book, at first I was like, well, what the hell am I going to write about? And then I actually sat down and started writing, and it just poured out of me.
Right.
And I wrote my chapter in, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours total. And
Wow.
it was wonderful. And it's a great chapter. I'm
Yeah.
proud of that work I did.
Yeah.
So if I talk about my journey to authenticity. I give people, the readers, some great tips on how to find who they really are, because that's what I encounter a lot when I work with people. It's just like, I just don't know who I am.
Mm.
And as ridiculous as it sounds, it's so common. And
Yeah.
so if you don't know, that's okay. Let's figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, it's definitely a really good chapter. I read it, and
mhm,
again, it's awesome. And so one thing that I'm looking at here is, again, you're into real estate. You wrote a
mhm,
book. You have your True Sisu Life, and
mhm.
so the lesson here, I guess, is you have to have, as an entrepreneur, you want to build multiple streams of income, right? And
Right.
so how important is that to you, or why that's important to you? And for anyone that might be thinking about doing something to that,
Mhm.
why do they need to have more than just, your secure job, quote unquote,
Right.
or
Right.
that just one stream of income?
Awesome question. So I love multiple streams of income. My husband and I currently have five between the two of us. Okay.
Nice.
We had a situation last about 2 months ago where one of them dried up altogether,
Mm,
like due to no fault of our own,
yeah.
dried up altogether. It's going to come back next month.
Mm,
However, we had a good almost 3 months of zero revenue from that stream of income. Okay. So here's my point. Stuff happens, right? Even if you have a quote unquote secure job, you could be severed tomorrow
mm-hmm.
through no fault of your own. You could be severed tomorrow from your employer, and then your stream of income is gone. You might be
Yeah.
lucky and get some severance pay. You might not. So I believe, so one of my favorite kind of snarky quotes is like, even the government has redundancies. That's why we have a vice president. And so,
Yeah, that's good.
I believe in redundancy of income because you never know what's going to happen. So plan as you might, um, take all the right steps, and like it happened to my husband and I the other month. It might be at no fault of our own. It just
Right.
dries up and you might need to reset. So that's why I believe in multiple streams of income, because then it truly allows you to go live your passion. Caesar, I know you and I met an individual the other week who all she wants to do is go rescue animals.
Yeah. Right.
She is extremely passionate about that. I think that's awesome. I got my
Yeah.
dog over here, like trying to get into your podcast, chewing
Yeah.
his bone, looking for attention.
Yeah.
So you can do, like, there may or may not be a lot of revenue in rescuing animals.
Right.
If this person can figure out another stream of income or two that's passive, she can then go spend all her time rescuing animals, and
Right.
any revenue that she gets that she wants to donate to that cause. And so those multiple streams of income allow you to do what you truly want to do.
Right.
If you want to travel the world and vacation 24/7, awesome. If you have a passive stream of income coming in that allows you to do that, do it.
Right. Yeah. And
It's part of designing your life.
right,
We all
exactly.
need money.
Right. And that's the one thing, like, I always hear this, the term, and it is, overdone, I think, is, money is the root of all evils, or,
Mm-mm.
uh, always that the negative belief about money, right? Except we need money to be able to, if you want to do more good stuff to the world, you need the money to be able to fund that, right? If you want to take care of yourself, you need the money to be able to take care of that, right? And so I do believe that. I mean, I'm with you on that. I mean, at one point in my life, in many years in my life, I was very similar to, I would say, 95% of the people. It was just having that one, secure job. And, I felt like I'm never going to get fired. I'm always going to have a job, and it's always going to be good. And I didn't have anything else. And yet, being in corporate for so many years, I saw people that have been in the company for over 20, 25 years wiped out of their job just because they were getting old, and they needed to bring new blood in, right? And you lose that. And so I realized that, man, that's not something that at least me personally, is not something that I want. And that's when I also started my real estate investing back in 2007, 2008. Again, obviously for me, it was a little bit difficult at that time. And then I stopped because of that fear of, I lost everything. I lost houses. I foreclosed. I also got short sales and all that stuff. Anyways, I stopped that journey, and then I would say about 5-6 years after, I started all over again, and I lost again. And so it's again, it's that constant battle. Except I do believe, though, that as anyone that's trying to take this journey needs to make sure that you have multiple streams of income somehow, some sort of something to help you fund whatever you want to fund, right? So.
It's funny. My kids have now started saying, when you ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's always, a vet, a doctor. Like I have one that wants to open a hair salon. Well, now they all say, I want to be a vet, for example, with multiple streams of income. And I'm just like doing a little happy dance over here. Like, it's working. I'm having a positive effect.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's right. You did mention that last time. And that's pretty good. Like the fact, can you imagine like having your kids and you're teaching them those values and those principles, and they're growing up with that mentality? I mean, again, you and I didn't have that. I mean, growing up, I mean, it was just go to the traditional way, go to school, get a good job, get a good education, get a good job, and retire forever and ever. And, it would have been nice if I would have been told, hey, do whatever you think you want to do, yet make sure you have multiple streams of income, which is pretty awesome. Right. And every successful, wealthy person has more than one stream of income, one way or the other, right? So we definitely got to do the same thing and embrace that for sure. So let me ask you something. So with everything you have going on, what is 2020 looking for you? Like, what do you have on your crystal ball? What are your next steps?
Oh my goodness, what a good question. So 2020, so as I mentioned, we have 5 streams of income. We have very specific growth plans for each stream of income in each business. 2020, we also have some fun planned in there. It is my 10-year anniversary with my husband, and we are going to go on a nice vacation. We don't know where yet. We just need to know, we know we need to go do that. So
if you need someone to carry your luggages, all you gotta do is just pay for my flight, and I'll take care of the luggages.
Flight, and I have a permanent valet. I love it. I love it. So, and then we have some initiatives with the kids. I am going to earn my black belt in taekwondo. I am testing in August of 2020. So that's been a project, or I've been training for almost 2 years for that. Just one of those things, my kids started doing it. I said, why am I just sitting here watching? I'm going to do it with them. And it is so much fun to kick people, let me tell you. And so that's another big thing. I am looking to help with my company, True Sisu Life. I help people in 2 ways. I either help them rewire their minds so they can eliminate some of their limiting beliefs or self-sabotaging behavior so they can take action and design their life. I also have my Corporate Dropout Program, where I help transform corporate employees into entrepreneurs so they can embrace the entrepreneurial lifestyle full time. And I have a goal of helping actually 24 people with the first thing, helping them clear their limiting beliefs. And I have a goal of helping 40 people in the Corporate Dropout Program this year.
Wow, that's amazing. That is very awesome. So I have a couple of more questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I want people to take away from this is, again, even with your very busy lifestyle, with being a mom,
Mm-hmm.
a wife, working for corporate America, and being able to take this leap of faith and being able to jump, right? Um, what would be your best advice that you will give anyone in overcoming anything in their life?
Know what you want and go for it.
Okay,
That's the first thing. You need to know what you want.
got it.
And it's amazing how many people don't know that.
Right,
And so if you don't know what you want, that's okay. Sit down, write it down, figure it out. And then go after it. Take any action, no matter how messy your action is, no
yeah,
matter how small, if it's only a baby step, take action, because success brings more success. So as soon as you find yourself taking action, like it was me when I was in that ball crying on my floor after
right,
my kid decided to, Sharpie herself in my kitchen.
yeah.
It was just figuring out how to fix it, and that helped me move on and figure out the next thing. It's one thing at a time. Take action, then take action on the next.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that's amazing. So, I guess, the one thing I have left for you is, how do people find you? Like, if people want to work with you, how do they
Mhm.
find you? What is your, the contact information people can reach out to you?
Awesome. Yeah. So I would go to my website. It's www.truesisulife.com. I'll spell that for you real quick. It's TrueSisulife.com. You can find more information on my business there and all my social media handles. You can also click on those from that website. I encourage you. I have this awesome private Facebook group. Caesar, I know you're a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Map to Successful Life Design. So look for that on Facebook. You can also go to, I have a link that goes directly to that, www.mindsetactionpassion.com, goes directly to that Facebook group. Otherwise, I am Carmen Ventrucci on Facebook and Carmen_Ventrucci on Instagram.
Wow, awesome. All right, so I'm definitely gonna have all that information too, so that people can
Mhm.
get to you a lot easier. Is there any other advices that you want to tell the readers, that can help them for this upcoming 12 months?
Yes. Work on your mindset first and foremost. It all starts with your mindset. If you can think it, you can do it.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. So
Mhm.
guys, thank you, Carmen. I really, really appreciate for being here. And, for all of you guys, please make sure that you follow me on Spreaker, or you can also find me on Facebook. And again, this is, You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. And I am so glad that I had Carmen here. And thank you so much for all the knowledge. And definitely, I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next interviews. And I will talk to you later. Have a good one.
Do you feel stuck? Do you feel like life is against you? Do you feel like you can't get ahead? Well, we have a podcast for you. You can overcome anything with Cesar Espino, real estate investor and real estate coach, NLP practitioner, and author of the book of the same name. Cesar will show you a way to overcome anything in your life through talking with people from all walks of life that have done just that. You Can Overcome Anything podcast available on Spreaker.com.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you tuned in to this podcast. You can find me at Spreaker.com, where you can like and subscribe. And to learn more about myself and my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at Facebook under Cesar R. Espino. Once again, thanks for joining me. I am looking forward to having you at the next episode, and know that you truly can overcome anything.